Hello everyone, welcome to today's video about 3 cost saving tips for GPT-3 by reducing prompt tokens. And the first cost saving tip is actually prompt paraphrasing. Once we have designed a prompt, we'll see how we can paraphrase the prompt to get a lower token prompt, which in turn gives us savings. Let's go to beta.openai.example. So we are just taking the examples that OpenAI already provided. So there's this one called as add from product description. Let's click on that, and let's click on open in playground. As you can see, the prompt goes like this: write a creative ad for the following product to run on Facebook aimed at parents. Let's just run this. Awesome, we got some output here, but as we can see, here's our prompt for this product, and we have some instruction here, and we are choosing the text DaVinci 001 model, which is actually instruct GPT-3. Now what we can do is we can take the instruction and use something like Quillbot, where we can paraphrase. As you can see, I've used Quillbot to paraphrase this original sentence into this, and now you can go ahead and paste the original sentence and paraphrased version in beta.openai.com tokenizer. So you can see how many tokens are being used by GPT-3 here. As you can see, the original prompt comes to 16 tokens, whereas the modified prompt, that is create a creative ad targeting parents for the following product to air on Facebook, actually saves us 1 token more. So it comes up to only 15 tokens, as you can see here. Now let's take this and use in our original playground and run our generate again. Awesome, we again got the Facebook ad as we were expecting. Cool. So as you can see, you can take the initial prompt, just paraphrase it to see if you can get a lower token prompt, because here by just paraphrasing this sentence, we are getting 1 token lower with the paraphrased version. And for example, for 1,000 calls, even if you save 1 token, that comes up to around 6 cents with the text DaVinci 001 model. So the token savings at scale are not something that can be ignored. And the second technique is actually NER replacement prompting. Let's look at that. For example, let's say you have a sentiment classification task. You need to say the sentiment of a particular sentence as positive, negative, or neutral. This is how you would craft a prompt: classify the sentiment in this sentence as positive, negative, or neutral. And the sentiment on the sentence that you get as input is this: Ramsri hates working at Question's office. Question is a startup that I'm running, question.ai. So if you just click on generate, you can see that we get the correct sentiment, negative. Rather, if you change this hates to loves, you can see that when I click on generate again, I get positive. But one thing to notice here is that since we are actually doing sentiment classification, for us, the person Ramsri and office question are kind of irrelevant. What I mean by that, I'll let you know. And if you actually go and use tokenizer to calculate the number of tokens, Ramsri hates working at questions office, it actually comes up to 11 tokens, because the word Ramsri is subdivided into 3 tokens because it's not there in GPT-3's vocabulary. Again, question is subdivided into 2 tokens because again it's not there in the GPT-3's tokenizer. But what happens is that you don't actually need to use the name Ramsri or question in our case. Even if you just replace Ramsri with John, and even if you replace Ramsri with John and question with Google, you still get the same output, that is sentiment positive or negative, etc. But now the tokens are reduced by 3. Almost you saved 3 tokens on this. And because John comes up to only 1 token and Google comes up to only 1 token, because they are already in the vocabulary of GPT-3. So what you can smartly do is run a kind of soft NER, where you replace the original NER terms that could be um, names like Ramsri or companies like question. So you can replace name, company, and other things like that with a 1 token NERs, generic NERs. In our case, you can collect all the 1 token names like John, etc. You can collect all the 1 token companies like Google, etc. And for us, the context is preserved. Rather, before passing it to GPT-3, we are actually running it through an NER and replacing the complex names and complex company names, etc., with 1 token names that are generic, and now running the sentiment analysis. What happens is that for you, the context is not preserved. We are just changing the NER terms. So you will still get the correct sentiment identified, but you're saving on tokens actually. And the third trick is actually multitask prompting. You can combine several tasks in a single prompt than doing individual prompts for every task. I'll show you how. For example, if you want to paraphrase a single sentence into shorter sentence, longer sentence, as well as a more formal version, kind of like what Quillbot does. So if you go to Quillbot, you will see that there is a shorten, expand, and formal, creative, etc. So in short, if you want to do all of that with a single prompt, you can build prompt like this, where you can tell it to paraphrase this into shorter version, longer version, and more formal, and you can give any sentence. Let's run this. Okay, you can see that has shown again is replaced with has demonstrated his ability, etc. So in short, we can convert 3 different prompts into one single prompt. Otherwise, what happens is that if you take the longer version, basically you need to do 3 different API calls to OpenAI's GPT-3. One that says paraphrase this sentence into a shorter version, and you need to give the sentence. And the other thing is paraphrase this sentence into a longer version and sentence, and a formal tone and sentence. So it would cost you almost 98 tokens, but rather you can do this multitask prompting, where you can convert all the 3 different tasks into a single prompt, something like this. And you can see that the token savings are huge, just 48 tokens as opposed to 98 tokens. And you can do this. It's almost like it is almost like batching when it comes to natural language processing tasks, where you batch certain things. Of course, it's not exactly replacement to that, but you can kind of attempt to do similar task of batching as well as multitask framing for this. Awesome. That's about the 3 tips for GPT-3 cost saving by reducing prompt tokens. And if you like the content, please subscribe to the channel and like this and share this video. Thanks a lot.